From Reminder Media, this is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business. Hosted by the VP of Marketing, Josh Stake, and Reminder Media's president, Luke Acree. So get ready to hear the golden nuggets that will allow you to live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today.
I need my noisemaker back.
What happened to the noisemaker?
They gave it back to Matt. Matt.
So Matt Nye?
Yeah, UX designer. So then we bought another one, and they sent it to Peter Lorimer.
Matt, why
isn't
he sharing his sound effect maker?
I think he likes it's unique.
Yeah.
He said that it makes him a walking sitcom. Or what did he say? A walking sitcom.
I could see Matt Nye with a sitcom. I could see that guy with a sitcom.
We have a member
I would
of our
watch
team
it.
that's a walking sitcom.
Yeah?
Yes, we Jim on our team, we call him Kramer.
Oh, nice.
Well, here, I'll tell you this.
Those.
We've wanted to have a reality TV show called The Call Center.
Yeah.
So anybody who's been following our story, you know we have about like 120 people in what we call our sales floor. But
you got
stories,
drama.
Oh man,
you got
the drama that happens, the
you got
sales.
arguments.
Yeah, sometimes I
backstabbing.
think of Reminder Media as Match.com. We've had, relationships. We've had
120 people on a floor, I can imagine.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
It's
right.
been quite the wild ride. But, that's, I don't know how that leads up to Stay Paid, but now you learned a little bit more about us. Yes.
Yeah, well, speaking of learning about us, this is a segue.
Yes.
We are about to learn about our guest.
Yes.
Her name is Lisa Harris. She is a real estate agent with more than 20 years of marketing and sales experience. 5 years ago in 2014, she took that experience and used it to begin her career in real estate, and in her first year was awarded Rookie of the Year, went on to build Harris Home Team, and has served more than 500 families within the last 5 years. So Lisa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's pretty cool to be able to go back and listen to someone else actually say that bio and put that out there. I go, wow, that's real.
That is amazing. I mean, I don't have to really say it because most people have heard the stats. 87% of real estate agents fail within 5 years. I was just doing a webinar the other day, and then we were going over the member profile of the National Association of Realtors. And so there's between 1.3 and 1.4 million real estate agents that are part of the association. And the average real estate agent makes a little less than $42,000 a year and does
That's
11.
probably being nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's being nice, and does 11 transactions. And so the fact that you've done over 500, I mean, that's just incredible. So I'm interested to pick your brain because I know you have a really unique lead generation strategy, but I'd love for you to just introduce yourself to the audience by letting them know your story, like what led you into real estate, how has the journey been up into today that's led you to being able to help over 500 people.
So you mentioned that I have over 20 years of marketing and sales experience. I have been very blessed I like to tell people I've had a wild ride. I have had really cool experiences and jobs in my lifetime that led me into being able to take all those skill sets that I had in other jobs and apply them to what we do in this crazy world of real estate. And I'm very fortunate. I've worked in everything from CoverGirl Cosmetics to Procter & Gamble as a trainer to NASCAR, NHRA drag racing, and worked with PR and marketing with those companies. And believe it or not, actually walked around the NASCAR track in a Viagra uniform. So if that once...
Not many people can say that.
Yeah, that's a
not
first.
many people can say that. I was actually part of the Mark Martin team at the time that I was working with NASCAR.
That's awesome.
And I have been able to take a lot of that real world experience and apply it to what the world of real estate has to offer. My time that I spent in Harley Davidson, I was a marketing director for them for quite a few years and did a lot of event marketing and promotions. I worked in the world of radio, and the cool thing about that is everybody has a story and everybody has a past. They've all got skill sets that can be applied to the world of real estate. Not everybody actually takes those and applies them to what we do in this crazy world of real estate. And, I even modeled, and I used to be one of those chicks way back in my day that would stand on the podium that went round and round with a car on it at the Detroit Car Show.
Oh, wow.
And had one of those little headsets that did the whole walk around video on the cars. And so my past life, I did modeling for almost 30 years. And so it gave me a pretty good platform for being able to understand how to take those communication skills and apply them to what we do in real estate. And that's actually how I got into what we're going to talk about today, as far as being able to apply home shows and marketing events to what we do in the world of real estate.
So
I got into real estate because of a bad experience myself. And so when that process went down, I was like, there's got to be something better. I mean, surely it's not like this for everybody,
bad
right?
experience buying a house, selling a house?
We were actually in the process of looking for a home on Lake Murray here in Columbia, South Carolina. And we had a house that we had on the market. My husband is in the restaurant business, and his partners was in the restaurant business. He's now actually a part of my team, nice. Which we'll tell you a little bit more about how that happened. And the cool thing was that I kept having people over and over and over again in the process of us looking for a home on Lake Murray and selling our home, telling me, you really need to get into real estate. My builder told me, you need to get into real estate. My agent told me, you need to get into real estate. My lender said, you need to get in real estate. And every one of them said, you actually have more knowledge than a lot of the agents that are actually in the business.
Oh, wow.
And I kept asking deeper questions and said, what do you mean by that? They said, because you ask smart questions. And I really find that that's probably a big key in our business, is asking smart questions to be able to get the right answers. And I'll tell you more about that as we go a little bit deeper into this as to how I got into the home show side. But the key was, I went back and I said, okay, if some of these other people that are out there in the business can do what they're doing, why can't I? I had actually taken a time frame. I had an 18-month-old. We were in the process of building a custom home on Lake Murray. We were selling our home, just had a baby. I have a son that's a little bit older, and my son was in grade school. And here I was helping my husband build a brand new restaurant on the lake, and we were running a restaurant in downtown Columbia, the two of us. And I was helping with marketing. I had come out of the world of marketing with Harley Davidson whenever my daughter was born, and I had all these things going on with our own real estate needs. Keep in mind, we had just purchased a commercial location when we were building our restaurant, so I got deep into that with my husband during that process as well. So I got my feet wet pretty much by baptism of fire. And I was like, there surely has to be a better way to do this whole real estate thing. And so I had a good friend of mine that we were having a bus stop conversation, and she said, I've always wanted to get into real estate. And I said, I have too. And she says, why don't we make a pact and we'll go to real estate school together once you get all these other things going and get moved into your house and everything. Let's do that. So about 3 months later, after we had that conversation at the bus stop, she comes back to me, and my house hadn't sold. Of course, at the time that I'd started, there was this kind of lull in the market where things weren't flying off the shelf like they are right now necessarily. And my real estate agent, I love her, but she was not overly experienced in some of the areas that I wanted and needed real estate needs. She didn't know a whole lot about Lake Murray, and Lake Murray was a completely different place. And so the crazy thing is she was the one who said, you need to get in real estate. And so my friend comes back to me and says, I see that your house hasn't sold. Maybe you guys would think about renting it. Why don't you talk to my broker? And I stopped and I looked at her and I said, wait a minute, your broker? And she goes, yeah, you were so busy with trying to open the restaurant and get your house built and everything else. I knew you didn't have time to go to real estate school. So I went, and I now have my license hung with a broker. Why don't you talk to him about renting your house? And I was like, okay. So I went home and I told my husband, and he said, if she can do it, you can do it. You need to go to real estate school. So I went back, and of course we all have this philosophy, hey, if they can do it, I can do it, right?
Right.
And that's how a lot of us get into the world of real estate. And so I went back and my husband said, you have no excuse. You have every skill set possible. I went to real estate school in November. By December, I interviewed 8 different brokerages. And I say I interviewed them because
That's awesome.
I knew 3 things. Number 1, that I wanted to go to work somewhere that it was a place that was a good environment, that I could learn quickly and hit the ground running, because I'm not good at doing things part-time. I usually put my whole heart into it. Number 2, I wanted to be in a place where I knew that there was going to be an abundance of learning and training, and not just your basics, not, hey, here's a phone book, go figure out how to call somebody. And I wanted to be with a company that I knew that I was going to be able to make the most amount of money for what I was putting into it. And it wasn't necessarily about what the splits were for me. I went about it very smartly. I wanted to know if it was a give and take, because it was a business to me right from the very beginning. And I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make getting into this business, is they don't treat it truly like a business. They don't see you get what you put into it out of it, as long as it's got to be a give and a take.
So true.
For you and your broker. And so I ended up sitting in the back of a class. I narrowed to 4 different brokerages, and I sat in the back of a class with 4 different brokerages before I actually decided on a. So I did it very meticulously. And in one of those, I actually sat in the back of the class where they mentioned Rookie of the Year. And I was like, I'm competitive.
If they can do it, I can do it.
And so I looked at him and I said, wait, stop. Tell me what Rookie of the Year is. And through this class, it was an all-day planning class that was a business planning clinic that said, basically to walk you through, do you realize that it only takes 2 appointments a week to be able to make $100,000 a year in this business?
Wow.
2 appointments a week.
That's powerful.
And it really broke it down, and they said, let me explain. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. And he walked us through how to back into those numbers with this business planning clinic. And I will never forget Kent Temple sitting at the front of that class explaining to us, it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
And that was the big key to me, was I wasn't looking for easy. I knew that it was going to be work. But when he said 2 appointments a week is all it takes to do 33 to 35 transactions your first year in the business, and you can make $100 a year. And then he mentioned to me Rookie of the Year, and I said, well, first of all, I don't want to make $100,000. And he looks at me and says, well, what do you want to make? I said, I want to make 150.
I love you.
That's
Awesome.
He said, okay, well then go do 2.5 appointments a week. And I said, well, how about I do 4? And he goes, I like the way you think. So for me, it was about how fast can I hit the ground running. And so that was in December of 2013. I signed my paperwork with Keller Williams. I went through the Ignite program in January, and from January until April, I didn't have my first closing, which a lot of people think you get in this business and it's instant, and it's not.
Right.
And what you do have to remember, though, is at that point, I had 5 listings, and I had 2 buyers in the pipeline. I had closed my first buyer the first week of April, and from the first week of April until December 31st, I did 33 transactions and $4.5 million in volumes by myself.
That is awesome.
Now, where did you, when you started off, you said 2.5 appointments, you said 4 appointments a week. Where did you begin generating those appointments?
So this was the thing. When we went through that Ignite program, the first thing they said was call everyone you know. Of course, what do they do in the insurance business, and what do they do in all these other businesses? They tell you, call your sphere of influence. What does your sphere of influence typically do to you, though? When you call them, they usually go, oh no, somebody's trying to sell me something. Right? I don't need any more insurance. I don't need more of this. I don't need more of that. But I went about that because of my background in marketing and sales and everything that I'd done previously. I had a phenomenal reputation. I had been a part of the PTO board, and everybody knew that if I put my mind to it and I set out to do something, it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of how fast I was going to do it and how good it was going to be done, because they knew that it was going to be done well. And that was my reputation. So I took that reputation, and I didn't call people and told them, hey, I'm new to real estate. And I think this is a big mistake that a lot of people make in this business when they first get started. You're not new. You have a whole set of skills that you are taking from your past to apply to the new world of real estate.
That's a gold nugget. I'm gonna jump on Luke there.
That's so good.
You're not new to real estate.
Yeah.
You may be new to the processes, but the cool thing about where I was with Keller Williams is at that place, we had about 100 agents in our office, and I could walk into any one of those experienced agents' office and say, hey, I have a question. Do you have 10 minutes to be able to answer a question for me? I could go to a training class that addressed whatever it was that I needed. If you can go to the Realtor Association, and there's all sorts of training online, and I engulfed myself in learning. My first year in the business, if there was a training door open, I was in it. It was like, I joke and say I was the training junkie, because I was the one that if it was a training that I knew that I could just work around my schedule, and keep in mind, I still did 33 transactions, but I was at every training possible. Right. I didn't take an opportunity to not learn. If it was a webinar, I was on it. If it was a podcast, if it was a book, I was listening to it. I've read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent 5 times. I'm working on it the 6th.
That's so good.
I don't ever stop learning. I also got a productivity coach right out of the gate. And a lot of people don't see the investment in a productivity coach whenever they first start, because they think it's just money wasted. And to me, that was the best investment that I made in myself. And it was worth every dime.
Also, I'll say Millionaire Real Estate Agent, for anyone listening that's not in real estate, that book is not just for realtors or real estate agents. It is a blueprint of how to run a business. And like you said in the beginning, that's a problem that a lot of people have in real estate or as professional service providers, is they don't see what they do as a business, or they don't treat it like a business. And so it's a fantastic book for all of these different models on how to basically run a business. And then what Lisa's saying is backing into those appointments. So 4 appointments a week sounds like a lot. Well, not once you start reverse engineering where you're going to get that from.
What it takes.
Which I think leads us maybe to the next, maybe we'll jump ahead a little bit here. One of the things that intrigued us about what you're doing on the lead generation side is you're actually going to home shows to find leads. So explain to the audience how to connect those two things.
So let me first say this. Some of you are going to immediately have this knee-jerk reaction to say, well, we don't have home shows in our area, so that's not going to be an option for me. So before you cut the podcast off and don't listen any further, let me explain a couple of other opportunities that you can relate this to. There's home shows. I've done wedding shows. I've done community events. I have even gone as far as doing craft shows and actually setting up an event booth at a craft show. I've done fairs. I have done all sorts of different one-on-one type of events, community events, PTO events, career events. So don't relate this just to the home show. We are going to talk a little bit more about the home show and get deeper into that, because a lot of the things that we do for the home show, you can apply to anything. So I want you to keep that in mind as we talk about that, because the home show is just one of the places that I started. I saw a need, and the thing that I saw that was probably the biggest was that no real estate agent in Columbia was really setting themselves apart as an expert in the field. And what I mean by that is that when you go to a home show, there are all these vendors at a home show, from the builder to a closet professional, to the guy that sells blinds, to painters, to remodel experts. There's all these different people, but there was no one there really that represented real estate, which I found kind of odd.
Yeah.
Now, we do have one home show that's the Builder Association, that there were a couple of agencies that were there, but they rotated agents in and out. There wasn't really just this presence, and they were there strictly to sell homes. And they would have this big billboard up in this one end of the section that just had homes for sale. And it had all of their stuff there, and there would be agents there answering questions just about the homes that they had for sale. And I think where I got that specific, hey, aha, at that moment was that it's not for you to set up shop just to sell them something, because that's what everybody else there is to do. The guy selling blinds is there to sell you something. The guy selling paint is there to sell you something. And of course, most of those people walk in the door looking for something to be sold, right? Well, they're not looking to go find someone to sell their home necessarily. But I thought, if I could give someone the opportunity to take a look at what their home value was before they did any renovation to it to see if it was really the value that they wanted and was it going to meet their goal. I came from a contribution place. Whether I actually got the listing or not didn't matter to me, because if it made it so that it was more valuable to them down the road, where they said, okay, it makes sense for me to go in and do a $50,000 kitchen remodel. And it makes sense for me to go in and paint the whole entire inside of my house. It makes sense for me to replace a roof. And they were looking for some of these vendors. Then were they going to get the true return on their investment? And so I came into this with the place of contribution. Number one, I wanted to make sure that for whatever they were doing to the home, that down the road that they were going to get their money back out of it. And number two, was it really accomplishing the goal that they wanted? Did it give them the home of their dreams? Was that home in the location that they wanted it? Was it just a matter of changing the kitchen? Or did they want to add a garage? Did they want a bigger piece of property? What did they really want? What was their ultimate goal? So when I got into this, I didn't set it up where I had all of these homes up there for sale and said, hey, come look at my homes for sale. I set it up from a perspective to say, hey, what brings you out to the home show? And they would immediately look at me and go, well, we're looking for a painter, or we're looking for somebody to remodel our closet, or somebody to, put in new floors. Great, that's awesome. So let me ask you, if you had everything redone to your house, is it your dream home? Can you imagine how many people actually say no? A lot.
I would say 80% maybe.
Yeah, a lot of them. And I found it funny because even the ones that say, well, no, I'm going to die in that home, I would joke with them and say, you know what? I have one favor to ask of you. And they would look at me kind of strange, and I would go, would you please do me a favor, take one of my cards and make sure that I can take care of your family when you pass away and you no longer want that home. I want to be the one to sell it for your family so I can make sure that they get top dollar for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's ABC. Always be closing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they got a good kick out of it. And I said, by the way, I'm sure that you know someone else who has a real estate need because you have family and friends, and we would love to be able to serve their needs.
That's fantastic.
So if you can help, let us know. And the funny thing is I ended up developing a lot of really good relationships out of that. Not just with the vendors that were already there, but by the way, now pretty much the majority of us that are there and that are staples that go to those home shows on a regular basis, we exchange information, and I'm constantly sending them leads, and they're constantly sending me leads.
That's another great benefit.
Yeah, it's a whole nother avenue. It's the partnership avenue is, fantastic, because everybody there is same industry or, same client base, but non-competitive. Well, some people might be super competitive, but, non-competitive. How many leads, I guess break down for the audience, so you'll do a home show. What does it normally cost you to get in there? How many people do you tend to talk to? Is it one-on-one as they come walking by? Kind of break down the process there.
Let me give you a few tips and some things that I think will be helpful, whether it's a home show or any type of community event. The big thing is obviously you're there to get their information, but you also have to give them something and it come from a place of contribution. So it's not, hey, just give me your name, your email so that I can junk mail you all this crap that everybody sends out. Sorry. But it's kind of one of those things that they want to know that they're getting something of value. So first and foremost is we have a wine drawing, and we have bottles of wine on the table. They actually have our stickers on them from our team with our logo.
That's awesome.
And it says we've got different bottles of wine. We actually have one that's really cool that we bought this last time that has the imprint of a hand actually in the bottle. And it says, let us give you a hand selling your home or buying your dream house.
That's
and the
great.
hand imprint is actually on it, and it's a white label, and the bottle is called The Hand. So we use the label as that, and we give away these bottles of wine. We say, hey, would you like to register and win a bottle of wine? And if so, we just want to be able to email you what the comparables are in your home. Let us know where your home's located, and we'd love to give you an idea of what the market looks like in your home. Even if you don't need it, maybe someone in your neighborhood. And so we come from a place of contribution that we want to be able to help you with information, because information is power, and that's what we tell them. And so We give away a bottle of wine every hour on the hour while we are there throughout the home show weekend. And typically home shows are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so it'll be like Friday from 5 until 8. Saturday, they're usually from like 10 until 7. And then Sunday, you're usually there from like 11 to 5. So it's a case of wine, basically, that we give away. We usually only give one bottle of wine away on a Friday night because there's not very many people there on a Friday night. It's a little bit slower. So we wait until we get about noon on Saturday, and then we give one bottle of wine away an hour. The key to that is I say, hey, make sure you put a really good cell phone number on there because we're going to text you. And if you're still here at the show, we want you to come back and pick it up before you leave.
That's great.
So I know that I get a good cell phone number from them.
That's so
pretty much
great.
every
Yep,
time.
smart.
And secondly, I tell them, make sure I've got a good email address because I want to make sure that I'm able to give you solid information for good so that if you or someone you know needs to know what the market value is on your neighborhood, we're going to set you up so that you can get that information on a regular basis. And if you have any questions, that's what we're here for. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to ask questions. Information is power. So we want to be able to put the power back in your hand. And Zillow is not going to do that for you, by the way. There's not an 800 number to Zillow for them to answer your calls. There's not an 800 number to most of those places. We actually want to give you accurate information. If you want to go a step further than that and you'd love to find out what the value of your home is and if you're doing any improvements, because obviously you're at a home show, you're probably thinking about doing something, right? So if we can help give you a good direction on what the things are that are going to be the most value to you, for you to get the most value back out of that down the road, we'd love to be able to give you some direction. Even if you're not selling right now, maybe you're deciding to sell 5 years from now. And so we always come from a place of value. When we do that, we typically walk away on average talking to anywhere from 100 to 500 people, just depending on the home show for a weekend.
Wow.
Now, think about this. A lot of them are probably never going to sell a house. And as I said, a lot of them say, nope, I'm going to die in this house.
Right.
But they probably know someone who is going to buy or sell. And you would be amazed at the next time the next home show comes around, we will go back through that database and we reach back out. We send them a text. We call them, say, hey, did you know that there's another home show coming up? Did you meet all of your home show needs at the last one? Were there any other vendors that you didn't see that we may be able to provide for you? Obviously, we're in the business and we have a lot of contacts and we'd love to be able to meet that need if you have something else that you we've provided everything from, we have a list of vendors and we regularly use our social media to get more vendors. We put up and say, hey, we have a client that's looking for a nanny in the Lexington area. Anybody have a great nanny that we can refer to them?
That's incredible.
We really use our networking tools and reach out. We've even emailed clients and said, hey, our painter just retired and has decided to get out of the business. And he's been our go-to guy for the last 4 years. We want to make sure that we give you a high-quality painter who's had a 5-star great experience with a painter recently that we can refer to our clients. And we reach back out to them because a lot of them have had somebody that they loved to work with. And we say, not just in a painter, but in any industry that we may be able to help. So we work with our clients and we work with that database on a regular basis. We work through social media in order to develop those networking opportunities and be able to refer people to other things besides.
You're almost like a mini home advisor in a way.
Exactly.
It's like, but you're
And
more
we are.
trusted, right? You're more trusted than the home advisor because there's actually a human being, someone you have a relationship with. I love that. You're getting 100 to 500, let's just say, people added to your database. Out of the 100 people, like, you're obviously sharing with them their value-driven is kind of your style of your pitch. So you're giving them, hey, access to more information, whether it's a, actual comparative market analysis of their home or just information to refer them to your network of people for their home renovations or whatever it is. From there, what are you seeing kind of tracking-wise from an ROI perspective? Is it every 500 people? You're getting a couple qualified appointments? Like, how have you kind of broken that down in your business?
So on average, and it depends on the time of the year that we do these. The one that we just did here in November, that show is typically a little bit slower just because you're getting ready to go into the holidays. It's a little bit more difficult to get people to make appointments just before the holidays, obviously.
Right.
But it actually sets us up. There's not as many people that walk through, but they are high quality because of the fact that there's fewer, but they're specifically looking for something. And it's no different than I tell people, when people put a house on the market in the winter time frame and people are buying in the winter time frame, you're dealing with a much more serious buyer or seller during that time frame. It doesn't
Totally
mean
agree.
you're not going to sell it. It means that whoever's buying, they have to make a move during that. So same thing with those that walk through in a November home show compared to a January or March home show that we do. And we typically do them, there's 3 that happen January through March timeframe. We have one in October and one in November. So, and they're by different companies, they're different sizes, so it just depends on what company it is that's hosting it. But on average, this past one that we did that was smaller, we walked away with 7 appointments from it.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, one of them that I went to today, we are both buying and selling for that particular appointment.
Wow.
One that I went to 2 days ago, they're both buying and selling. And oh, by the way, they also have a daughter that is buying and selling.
That is incredible.
So,
that is awesome.
We built relationships with these people by having a conversation with them on and just opening up that door from contribution. And the folks that I met with today, it was phenomenal because of the fact that they're in an established neighborhood. They have a home that in reality needs probably $50,000 to $70,000 worth of updates to it. And after talking to them, they said, you know what, our master's upstairs, we're in our 60s. We don't want to renovate this house because someone else is going to renovate this house in order to make it meet their taste and their needs. We'd rather just find a ranch style house and downsize and find something that we don't have to go up the stairs every single day. So it made more sense for them to list that house. And I said, why do renovations that someone else is going to come in and probably redo and spend that money? Let's find you the house that you want. Let's get you moved into it. And then let's sell this one as is. And let someone else do the renovations that they want to do to it.
Yeah.
So all in.
So that's the plan we're on.
All in, you're thinking, okay, you got a case of wine. What's a case of wine cost? A couple $100?
$100?
Typically, yeah, typically maybe, depending on the kind of wine.
Yeah,
now,
you can tell I'm a wino here.
I'm a bit of a wine snob, so I would say top end, you're probably looking at $300.
Okay, $300 for a wine. How much does a home show generally cost you? Is it a $1,500?
Yeah, about that. Depending on the size, they're anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 for a 10 by 10 booth.
So you're $2,300 in. That's not including your time, of course, right? So you have your time. I call that sweat equity, though. So I always like sweat equity because it doesn't cost any real money, but your time's the most valuable, so you got to keep that in effect.
So we put some candy out on the table.
Yeah, so you got some miscellaneous cost in there, but you got 7 appointments. 2 of those were both sides of the transaction, or you could get both buying and selling out of those, plus a referral, and you're building your database because every one of that is insane. That is an incredible lead generation strategy. What I love about it, there's so many different angles that I'm seeing. One is the natural, which is, look, you have consumers that need information.
Build a list.
Yes,
right?
Building the list. Then you have, obviously, as you nurture them, you're getting their referrals because they all know homeowners. Third, though, which I think is, we're not even really tapping into, is like this idea of the partnerships.
Well, the fact you're seeing these people every single home show, and we're at the point now where we've been going to conferences for just about the last year, but we're starting to see the same people at trade shows again and again. So I imagine at the home shows, these are local to your area, you're building such good relationships there. Have you seen... you talked a little bit about it, but how much of your business is the referrals from these partners that you're working with?
So the crazy thing about that is, I have Craig with the blinds, I have a paint contractor, I have a builder, and I have, so they're in a closet company, I forgot about them. So there's 7 or 8 of those right there that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, that, by the way, I've done transactions for all of them. I've been their realtor.
That's so great.
Oh, you've been their realtor.
I've been their realtor.
I wasn't even thinking that. That's awesome. And then they all have a database of clients.
That, and then I have 3 of those that I would call my direct sphere of influence.
Okay.
That send me referrals on a regular basis. They actually are a part of my my buyer's packets and my closing packets.
Oh, nice.
And my seller's packets. Their information is in it. And I make sure that my clients know, by the way, I don't make money from these. They're not paying me to do this. They're people that I trust.
That's
That I just
fantastic.
want you to have their information so that if you ever need it, or if you ever want to refer one of your friends, you feel comfortable in doing so. Because you know that they've been vetted and that they're good.
Concierge service right there.
So,
Yeah.
Lisa, I understand the home show. I kind of understand the wedding show because you've got people getting married looking for their first home
Right.
purchase. How do you turn a craft show into leads for real estate?
I figured you would ask that
gotta know
question.
that.
So the fun thing about it is I have a little matchbox house that my daughter, she's now 9, but I've been using this little our popsicle stick house that she built in a class. So I take that and I put it down on the table and I say, are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Don't let this be your first home.
That's great.
Of course, she built this when she was like 6, right? So it looks, a little rough. But I let them know that I'm an expert in the field that can help them so that, and the crazy thing is you would think, a craft show? Really? I have had some amazing conversations with people at a craft show to be able to open up doors that you would not think, because they didn't come there for that. So they didn't come there just to be sold, a little different than the idea of going to a home show, but it opens up conversations. And I say, I just wanted to let you know that I'm here to be your local expert. Yeah. If you have questions, if you have a need, do not think of us as just a real estate agent. If you think of me as your network expert.
That's fantastic.
If you think of someone that you need, it doesn't matter what it is. I refer people to doctors, hairdressers, nail techs, whatever that is. Think of me as your network
It's being
expert.
present in your community. So like you said, whether it's a community event or the craft show, you're there in the community. And we say it all the time. You have to put yourself out there. You have to become a celebrity. You have to be everywhere in order to be top of mind.
It's the omnipresence. It's you want to be omnipresent so people see you all the time. But what I love is, and I think this is the future of real estate. So you think the iBuyers are coming onto the market, which is going to squeeze the market. It's not going to replace real estate agents, right? It's going to squeeze it though. So the bottom real estate agents that barely do any transactions, sell for maybe their family members or a couple friends here and there, they'll eventually get squeezed out. And the people that are going to survive, in my opinion, are going to be the Lisa Harrises. Because your business is not just real estate. Your business is that you are the local community expert. You are the local community advisor, and you're the facilitator, the director, the person who guides people to where they need to go.
Yeah, your value's so diversified.
Correct. Right. And what I love about it is because, we just interviewed a guy, Don Graves, who talks about the home is the biggest asset that the majority of people have, like when it comes to their actual income, their actual investment. So it's like the most important thing for people when it comes to their wealth. And a lot of times it dictates also, obviously where you're living dictates everything you do in your life. And so you kind of control the home, which then branches out to all these other different avenues that you have. So I think it's unbelievable. I'm very surprised because we've seen in the financial space, financial advisors grow their book of business through seminars. But I haven't met a lot of real estate agents who are growing their book of business. Not that a home show is exactly like a seminar, but it's the same type of idea.
That's actually something else that we do with it. There are a few of those that allow us to go in and actually do a presentation seminar. Because obviously when you go to these home shows, you'll have guys that have their different expertise. And so they'll do these 30-minute seminars that are set up in certain areas of the home shows. And we actually go in and do a seminar. And we've done different seminars based upon what the need was at the time and what was going on in the market. We've done everything from first-time home buyers. And we typically will partner with a local lender that can answer lending questions, and we'll have them there with us.
That's great.
And we talk a little bit about if you're looking to build a home, what are your options? If you're looking to renovate a home, what are your options? And what does that look like? And we introduced the partnership that we have with our local lenders who can either do a loan specific for the process of construction to perm, or are you looking at being able to buy land and do that? By the way, we have an expert in that area and we can help you there. And we open up seminars to explain those things as well. When we do the home show, or the wedding shows, the thing that we actually promote at the wedding show, because wedding shows are typically shorter and smaller, they're usually not for more than 5 hours a day. So we actually will do a first-time home buyer seminar the 2 weeks to 3 weeks after the wedding show. And we set that up in a safe place location that we bring in, and we'll have coffee, donuts, breakfast, and we bring them in for this 2-hour seminar on first time home buying. And we tell them, we just want to invite you, if you've never gone through the home buying process, it's free, and we want you to be able to talk to a lender and talk to experts about what that process looks like and explain every step of the way. By the way, did you know that over 70 people touch a transaction?
Whew. I actually didn't know that. That's a really good stat to know.
And we explain that to them and say,
amazing.
It's 70 opportunities for something to go wrong. My job is actually not just to find you a house, but my job is to make sure that if something goes sideways with one of those 70 people, that I have the ability to fix it and fix it quickly. And 9 times out of 10, you don't even know, because I've already fixed it before you ever found out about it. And number 2, if it gets to the point that you've actually found out about it, I usually have options for you. And I can tell you, would you like to do this or would you like to do this?
Do you use that line on FSBOs also?
Yeah.
I was going to say that was worth the whole podcast right there for people.
Right there,
that pitch, 70 things can go wrong, and it's my job to. Man, that is so good. I can tell you're.
A lot of people think
killer.
real estate agents are here to help you find a house. Really, that's only a small part of what we do.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that we have this misconception out there that real estate agent, and part of that is our own fault, because we tell people, oh yeah, I'm going to find you the great house. I'm going to find you the perfect house. I'm going to find you your dream home. And we say that over and over and over again. It's not my job to find your house. You can find your house on any website out there. You can drive by and see a for sale by owner, and you can find the house, but can you get it to closing?
It's
amazing.
Fantastic.
You can hear the passion that you have for the appreciation you have for the industry, for the business.
I love that. I mean, that right there is the sales pitch for real estate agents. And I want to tie it back to something you had mentioned in your journey earlier on, which is you were just an avid learner, and I'm sure you probably still are, but every training class you were in, and as my brother's with Keller Williams, right? And he has gone through this journey of basically, he goes, man, you have to recognize your value, because if you don't recognize your value, you can't help people in the industry, because you let them walk all over you. And your value comes from your confidence, which your confidence is going to come from your training. How much of, Tom Brady's confident.
So right.
He's confident in that 2-minute drill because he's trained, meaning he has studied, he has practiced, and it's just so interesting to, your confidence is amazing and your pitches are amazing because you've trained. And now you're not ashamed to share that with that buyer. And guess what? Where most people, they feel in the sales process, they feel scared to talk that way or to put that a level of authority onto that potential prospect because, oh man, I might mess them up, I might offend them or anything like that. You're better off losing the deal if they walk away from that.
And you know what?
That's
I would be the first one to
buyer.
tell you, I've actually walked away and I've actually fired buyers and I've actually fired listings.
Good.
Because if you are not willing to understand the expertise that I have to offer and that my team members have to offer, and I instill this in my team members just as much so, there is no reason why anyone should use and abuse you in this business. It is not worth someone running you over or being, I've actually had a client that at one point, cussed me up one side and down the other on the phone, and I hung up on him. And I sent him a text and I said, when you're willing to talk to me as a professional, because I'm sure that you wouldn't talk to your attorney or your doctor this way, you are more than willing to call me back. Otherwise, have a conversation with my broker.
That's awesome.
And by the way, whenever I text him, I also text his wife, who was much more calm than she was. And I said, I do not take kindly to people cussing and screaming at me. It is not professional. When you decide to act professional, let me know. And his wife immediately picked up the phone and said, I am so sorry. I apologize. You put him in his place, and I will make sure to take care of this whenever I get home. And oh, by the way, he never spoke to me that way again.
That's
and we
great.
ended up getting them to closing. But you have to know how to treat people but you also have to teach people how to treat you.
Yes.
And that's something that I've learned in this business as well, is that it is truly about coming from contribution and being in a place where you truly from the heart want to help someone, and you're not in this just for a paycheck. There are transactions that I have closed that I made practically nothing on. By the time you looked at the hours, I might as well have worked at McDonald's and said, would you like fries with that? For the dollar amount that I would have made for that transaction. But it was not about that. It was not about the final paycheck. It was about the fact that I made a difference in somebody else's life. And that comes back to you 1,000-fold in this business.
Oh, it's freedom.
And it just so happens that some of those clients that you made the least amount of money from have ended up being the biggest raving fans that I have. And I have gotten more referrals from those clients than I have some of the ones that I did $1 million deal with that you put up with all of their crap. And they've never referred me anyone because they thought they were better. But the ones that actually care, that you show them that you care, those are the ones that matter.
That sums up being a top producer in the real estate industry. Really, any service-based sales industry, that sums up being a top producer. It's true freedom when you're willing to walk away from a deal, when it's all about truly the value, because then when you're selling, you're not selling for your commission. You're selling because you know you deliver value. You're willing to do whatever it takes to get the deal done, because it's just so freeing versus you're trying to funnel someone down to a close. You're trying to do a process on someone, even though processes are good.
And by the way, they know that.
Correct. Oh, they can sense it.
They know that. They see it.
Yes, 100%. There's nothing wrong with processes. You should have processes in your business. You should have structures.
Right, but it's not the reason for your business.
Correct, but it's not the reason. And it's free, and it's like my brother and I were dealing with a property issue with someone we sold a property to, and it's a crazy buyer, but it is what it is. And it was $700, and I told my brother on the phone, I said, I'm not worried about $700. Meaning, like, if I sit here and try to focus on $700, I'm trying to focus on, helping people and make my next $100,000. Not $700, and I'm not going to nitpick over this person. I want this person to be happy. I want to make sure at night I can go to bed at night with my head on the pillow going, I know I've done the right thing. And it's like when you get there in your business and you don't try to fight, even though I know I'm right with the $700, it's not about being right.
It's not worth being right.
Correct. It's not about being right. It's the freedom to walk away. That's what it is. And it's just so amazing because when you get to that level in sales and in business, it's free. And all of a sudden you're focused on making $300,000, not saving $700.
It's funny that you even say that because I have several buyers agents on my team, and we are making leaps and bounds of progress and growing as a team. I have an administrator right now that has been with me for 4 years, and she's actually moving from an admin role into a buyer's agent role. And it's really fun to see her. She specifically came on board with our team because she had 3 kids in college. And she said, I just got to get my kids through college and get them graduated, and then I'm okay with moving in. I said, fabulous. Let's make that our plan. So here she is this year moving into that role. And one of the questions that I had asked her along the journey is she said, I am very empowered by the fact that you allow me to teach people how to treat us, because I was very clear with her, even as an admin, you have a role in this process to make sure that we provide high level customer service, but that doesn't mean that you need to be abused. You don't ever take something from someone that is not right. Don't let them, cuss at you. And I'll be the first one to stand up for you. And that was a lesson that I learned very early on in this business, that if you're willing to be that person that it's not going to be a good transaction no matter what we do, then it doesn't matter what I do. I could give you the world. I could give you the house for free and not take a commission. You're still not going to be happy.
Correct.
And I made that very clear to her from the beginning. And she said, the fun thing is now I get to do that on the buyer side, but I get to have a lot more fun with it. So she's moving into that role now, and she's really excited because she said, I can't wait to be in that position on the day that I can say, this is not a good fit for me, but I'll be happy to refer you to an agent that I think would be a good fit for you.
That's awesome.
And I have done that.
That's awesome. And you'll see in the prospect's mind or the client's mind, they'll be like, no, I want to work with you. I'm going to, nope, sorry.
I've actually had someone follow me to the car I had a listing that they followed me all the way out to the car and they begged me to come back in. And I said, I am so sorry. I apologize. I will be happy to give you a list of other agents that I will be happy to make sure that these are good fits for you. But I am not a good fit for you because I'm going to tell you exactly like it is. And I am honest to a fault. And I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. And unfortunately, I feel like that's what you're looking for. And so let me find you that agent because I have 5 agents right now that I can refer you to that will tell you what you want to hear, but I'm not that agent.
That's like the takeaway close right there, ladies and gentlemen. The takeaway close.
Mic drop.
That is awesome.
Mic drop.
Lisa, you have been fantastic. So I have one final question for you because
Okay.
I always am interested to hear people's answer to this is knowing what you know now, right, and the journey you've been on in life, what would you go back and tell younger Lisa? What advice would you give her?
You know, this is the fun thing about that is I don't know that a lot of people just to tweak that question would say, what would you change? Would you do anything different? I don't know that I would do anything different in my life because first of all, I've had a really fun, adventurous life to this point. I'm very privileged and very, very blessed that I've learned something from everything that I've done. And I am a huge proponent. You know, I kind of live by the Gary Keller onward. Fell forward fast. And that's kind of been my life philosophy. So if I could go back and tell my younger self, you know, hey, this is the one thing that I would tell you to do it faster. Do it faster.
I love that.
And it's fun because I look back and I don't think I would change anything. I just think that there are some things that I would have done a little bit faster. I would have not held on to a bad relationship or a bad circumstance as long as I did, trying to milk it to make it work. Because I would have walked away from something and said, nope, next. And on to the bigger and better and done that part faster.
That's awesome.
And I think that's probably the only thing that I can say is just, don't hold on to something in desperation. And all too often, I think that we do that as just human beings is that we think, oh, I can't let go of this. And very often, usually there's something a lot better on the inside. So don't be afraid to let go of it and move on.
Oh, amen to that. It always seems bigger than it really turns out to be.
It's never too late to move faster.
Yeah, start
You don't have
today.
to tell your younger self that. Tell your today self that.
Oh, I know.
Everybody out there listening.
I know.
Well,
Fast,
and I'll
fall
tell you,
forward.
over the last 5 years, even the last 5 years in this business, it's something that I look back on, and there are things that I probably should have let a person on our team go a little bit faster because I was desperate to make sure that I could get them up and running, and I wanted so badly to see them succeed, knowing that they didn't want it as bad as I did.
Right.
And then the next person that came in who joined our team was a rock star that took off.
Yeah.
Well, why did I hold on to that other person so long? It was because I wanted it more desperately than they did. And you can't. You have to be able to move on quickly. So that's
so
probably
true.
the biggest advice that I can give anybody is don't hold on. Keep moving forward and do it quickly because the faster you can learn from your mistakes, the faster that you're going to move forward.
I love that.
Lisa, that was dropping some gold
Yeah, seriously.
on this
That
podcast.
was
This
just
is going down to the Hall of Fame. I can feel it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank
So
you.
many good takeaways.
That was great. Thank you so much for being here, Lisa. Before we
You're
close out,
welcome.
how can people connect with you?
Absolutely. Well, I would love to be able to service anybody that you have in the South Carolina area. So if you think of South Carolina, by the way, did you know that we are number 2 for the last 7 years in a row for the most amount of moves to any state in the United States?
Wow.
I did not know that. South Carolina. What's number
Little
1?
old South Carolina.
Just out of curiosity,
right?
what's number
Isn't
1?
Texas
Who's your
number
competition?
1? Or maybe I'm wrong there.
No, actually, it's not Texas. One more guess.
Oh, is it always? It's Florida.
Florida.
Right?
No,
Pennsylvania.
you would never
New
guess.
Jersey.
It's Oregon.
No way.
Oregon.
Oregon. Wow.
Wow. Is that 2019? Is that recent or is that last year?
That's actually last year.
2018?
Yeah,
Wow,
last year.
I would have never
2019
guessed Oregon.
is not out yet.
No offense
But,
to the what do you call them? Oregonians?
Oregonians.
Oregonians.
Portlandians.
Yeah, Portlandians.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are hustling and bustling, and we have a lot of it that has come. Most people don't know we have Boeing that is made here. We have BMW that is made. We have a lot of auto manufacturing. We have great government. So there's so much that is happening within our state as far as the financial growth. Samsung has come in and they've actually, we now have 6,000 people that are going to be coming in to little bitty Newberry, which is not even 45 minutes away from Columbia, South Carolina. for a Samsung factory. So we have a lot of growth happening here, not to mention the fact that we have some beautiful lakes. We happen to live on Lake Murray, and there is a lot going on in our community. We host one of the largest bass fishing tournaments on Lake Murray. So it's a 60,000 acre lake. It's beautiful. And it's a place that a lot of people come to retire. And the cool thing about it is we call them halfwayers. So if you've ever heard anyone say we're halfwayers, that is what it is. Typically they come from the north and they don't want to go all the way to Florida. So they come halfway because we typically have 4 seasons. Now what I tell everybody about our 4 seasons here in South Carolina is this: our winter, spring, and our fall are equal to our summer. so we have fall like maybe, 7 days, and our spring is about maybe 10 days, and the rest of it is a little bit of winter, and then we have very long summers, because our summer here is pretty much from March until like October.
Wow,
So,
beautiful.
We have beautiful weather, so if we can help, we would be absolutely, it would really be our pleasure to help anybody that you're sending to the South Carolina market. Now, you can look me up on Facebook, and we are the Harris Homes team.
Harris Homes team.
Yep. And as far as Facebook, if you look up the Harris Homes team SC for South Carolina, we will come up for Facebook. And you can connect my cell number, by the way, and I still put my cell phone number out there. You are welcome to give me a call or text me anytime at 803-673-8800. And you can send me an email at lisa@harrishomesforsale.com, and we would be happy to help you guys.
Well,
That's
thank you,
awesome.
Lisa. And watch out, Oregon.
Yes.
Lisa
is
South
coming.
Carolina is coming for you in that #1 spot next year. Thank you all so much
if you
for
guys just
listening.
want a vacation and come to Lake Murray, come see me.
I want to go fishing.
I know,
Yeah.
seriously, bass fishing.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. To dive deeper into this episode, to get that contact info that Lisa gave out, and to get any of the other resources and links we've talked about, go to staypaidpodcast.com. For the show notes, while there, you can find the videos for all of our episodes. If you're interested in supporting the show, there's 2 ways that we ask you to do that. First way is to head on over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, leave a comment. Second way, tell a friend. Share it on your social media. Just share the podcast. Helps us spread the word.
Yeah, we're climbing the ranks.
We're climbing the ranks.
We're climbing the ranks again.
We were the highest we
I
got.
knew that.
Should I say the ranks?
Yeah,
The
you
highest
can
we
say.
got was 49 on the iTunes chart.
Yep.
Right. Then we dropped for a little bit. We had a bit of a slump
We went-
there.
yeah.
Went pretty far.
What are we now, 72 now?
We came back up to 72.
Yep, so make us #1, people.
Watch out, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Or at least make us 48. Like,
and
we want to
Oregon.
break the record.
We're
of
coming
where
for
we were.
both of you. Gary V and Oregon.
I want to
Lisa
be
and
like the
Stay
Joe
Paid.
Rogan podcast, man.
Oh, that's who we
Yeah,
gotta beat.
Yeah,
That's
we
right,
got to beat
Joe
Joe Rogan. If we beat him, dude, that would be nuts.
But seriously, letting people know, getting downloads, leaving comments, and 5-star, it helps raise up the charts.
Raise
We really
awareness.
appreciate that.
More people will see it.
Plus, you'll be cool because you found us before we were #1.
And you'll have a special place in my heart.
Everyone likes to be like, oh yeah, I was listening to the Chili Peppers before Blood Sugar Magic. You know what I mean?
Jesse's shaking her head like, oh, gosh.
Is that the name of the album?
The Red Hot Chili Peppers.
If you'd like to get a hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com or check us out on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. And of course, you can check out Reminder Media on social media. We are at Reminder Media. That's a lot of medias.
Yes.
On every social media platform. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, and I'm Luke Acree, and I love it when we interview someone that is just so passionate about what they do. Like, even when we asked you to plug yourself, I mean, you were sharing about the real estate market. You can just tell. I know why they told
Lake
you
Murray.
you should be a real estate agent. Just incredible. My action item for you guys on this podcast, because I want everybody to put into action something that they've learned. There's so many golden nuggets from here, from the training that you should be in to making sure you set boundaries. But I think the most important thing that you can do is sit down tonight at your computer and Google the home shows, wedding shows. She even said the PTO events. I think career events was in there, craft shows. Google those that happen in your community and pick one of those to go to and implement this strategy, because you hear about, she's talking about how she's turning them into appointments. Just in growing your database and meeting the other vendors, it is money well spent. and you just nurture that database over and over and over. Remember, real estate is a relationship game. It's not an instant gratification. It's not a direct response game. It's a relationship game. So pick one of those shows to go to, start getting your face in the community and see the effects of that. Remember, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer in every single business is top producers take action. So take action on that today.
And let me put this out there for you. If you guys have questions and you're wondering, hey, will this work? How do I do this? And you want somebody to brainstorm with on an event, call me, reach out to me, email me. I will be happy to brainstorm with you. This is what I did for almost 30 years.
That's
I would
awesome.
be happy to give you some good direction and good pointers on how you can make that successful for yourself.
Lisa, thank you so much for offering that. That is an awesome, awesome gift. So all of the listeners, take advantage of that because that is an awesome, awesome opportunity. Thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate it. It's awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you.